All right. So then, yeah, let's just kind of move ourselves into a relaxed state here. And I want you to hold this object that you've chosen in your hand, if you can, or placed in front of you, and bring your awareness fully to this object. How does it look? Does it have different textures, shapes? Is it uniform? Does it have many different parts? What do you notice with your visual senses? And how does it feel if you run your hand across it? If you hold it? If you press it maybe between your hands, or you rub it maybe against your skin? How does it feel? Does your object make any sound? Perhaps if you roll it, or shake it, or tap it. Does your object make any sound? Maybe spin it around. Does your object have a smell? Does it smell like anything? Is it a faint smell? Is there anything reminiscent or nostalgic in that smell? And I wonder, can you think about where did your object come from? How did it come to be there, where you found it today? Was it there a long time? Did it emerge? Was it grown? Before it was there, where was it? How long has it been there or before there? And I want to invite us now to use what Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of Braiding Sweetgrass, calls the grammar of animacy. When Kimmerer talks about the grammar of animacy, there's something challenging about the English language. And I found it challenging just in what I've already spoken today, where I find myself calling this an object or an it. And so I'm not going to call it an object or an it anymore. I want to invoke the grammar of animacy and see this as a she or he or they, as a being with its own, with their own. See, I'm doing it again. This is a practice. I want to see my being as having their own animacy. So I'm going to imagine this being, because I'm a human, imagine this being having my same senses of touch and sight and smell, hearing, taste. How does this being feel being held in your hand? Mine has all these different parts that they must feel. They must feel on all these different parts. How do they feel being observed by you? About being brought into this? About being brought inside? Away from where they were? Maybe where they've always been? So in a broad sense, there is some way we are in relationship with all other beings. And I have this idea that imagining this being as having animacy helps me move into some kind of deeper relationship with them. So I want to start us off with a check-in as I find my breakout rooms. And the prompt for the check-in is going to be for you to consider this being. What is your relationship to them? What is their relationship to you? And we'll have 8 minutes here, so splitting time, 4 minutes each, just to share a bit about what you might be finding in relationship. Go do that. Okay. Welcome back from that little breakout check-in. Breakout check-in. Yeah, we broke out to check in. Good. So today's practice topic that I'm inviting us to play with is that of relational reciprocity. So we just concluded this kind of experimental, doing it for the first time, unschooling cohort at Elkenmist. And I had this kind of powerful takeaway around this idea of relational reciprocity and being in reciprocity with parts of the land here. It's part of how I'm relating to my being today. And one way to think about relational reciprocity is about having an even give and take. We offer things, we give things to the relationship, and we receive things, we take things from the relationship. And if these spheres are in balance, we might describe this as relational reciprocity. And I think there's a principle of reciprocity I want to bring into our zone here, which is that when we're in relationship, both beings are acting upon each other, having some effect. And this is, there's an unavoidability in this. When we stand on the earth, as I sit here right now, the weight of me, my gravity is sinking into the earth, and there's this physical reciprocity from the earth that's pushing back. And so I'm here and I'm sitting on the earth. And as I hold my being in my hand, there's some reciprocity that I'm receiving from the physicality of this being because they exist. And so as I hold them in my hand, they're pushing back against me and I feel it, and there's reciprocity in that exchange. So let's stay for one more moment in this new relationship with our being. And can you share in the chat right now, in a few words or a sentence, the quality or characteristic that led you to choose them today? Just say a little bit about why did you choose this being? For me, there's something in this spruce tip about growth and emergence. And I felt called to wanting growth and emergence in my own life. Uta says, wanting to get close to them. The being seemed frail. Victor chose this rock friend. It's been helpful. The rock's been helpful in the past. Kevin says theirs reminded Kevin of structure. Jesse's, we can always see each other. Ewan, brightness, abundance. Caleb says it's the closest thing. Had fallen off the tree. Abhai says, am I got injured? So you've been thinking about them with concern for a few days now. Brought them in. Will says reciprocal breathing. Sarah noticed a change in this plant. They flowered while Sarah's away. And an antler, no particular purpose, but curious. You're curious. Good, good. And you don't have to share this, but thinking about what you noticed, thinking about that characteristic, they needed care. They were bright, they were abundant, they were nearby, they were present. What do you notice in yourself about this quality or characteristic? This is something about reciprocity. We receive from a relationship sometimes insight or knowledge about ourselves because the things we notice and perceive in others usually exist somehow in ourselves. So what is reciprocity in you about this characteristic you noticed? How does it exist in you? Why did you notice it? What's alive in you right now? If anyone feels moved, you can come off chat and just share a little bit about that or in the chat. But
for me, it's like the rhododendron is inviting me to show off more, not be so much in the background or not to try to hide. It's like there's abundance and it's bright and it's okay to show off and be abundant and not not try to be in the background. So it's like a reminder of its abundance and you can show off.
Thank you. Thank you for showing off right now by sharing that with us, coming off of mute and sharing that. Good. One more thought if anyone feels compelled. Seeing answers in chat as well, which is sweet.
I think for me, there's a sense of the simplicity of it, that it was just right outside my door. Because I went for a walk before this and like beautiful, huge trees and like so many wonderful things to pick up, and decided to pick something closer to home and something simpler and something that's right here rather than trying to find like the best, coolest, most special thing. So I think that's something that's alive in me right now. But coming back to the basics, connecting with the foundation.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna show you a photo now. One of my favorite trees. This is one of my favorite trees. Well, I made a mistake because Zoom wants permission. So I can't do that. Can't share my screen today. It's fine. Let's see. See if there's a different way I can do this. I'm gonna make a link. E1, can I invite you to click this link and share your screen maybe? That I will send to you. Might that work? Oh, you're muted.
Let's figure out how to share. Yeah, share screen.
Cool, thank you.
Mhm.
This tree lives at Elkenmist with us, and we call her the Dragon Mama Maple. If you know about epiphytes, then you'll see that Dragon Mama Maple is covered with epiphytes. And I just want to connect a little bit to this idea that we can find endless relationships of reciprocity in nature. And this is one of my favorite ones. The epiphytes on this maple tree retain moisture. They're growing on the tree. And so they create all of this habitat for little creatures that come by, bugs, and they retain a lot of moisture. They cool the zone. And it's when I look at it, I'm just seeing reciprocity and like the way this tree nurtures them and they are existing. And it's nice to look at trees sometimes. So thank you, Ewan. We can probably think about, yeah, there's probably in your mind lots of ways in which we find reciprocity in nature. Now, if you have a journal or maybe in a note document on your computer, that's fine as well. But to get into our practice next, please go ahead and write down 3 relationships with humans now that are most active in your life. 3 relationships with humans in your life that feel most alive right now. For whatever reason, they're just the 3 that bubble up. Maybe you're in some collaboration with these people, maybe you're living with them. As you hold these 3 people in your mind, or you look at their names that you've written down, I encourage you to pick one of these relationships to work with for this practice, relational reciprocity. This practice will feel easier if you pick a relationship that already kind of feels good, right? We're going to kind of really think into this relationship and some dynamics of it. So if it feels good, you might get less, but it will be easier, right? The practice. So pick the kind of level that feels right for you. If any of these relationships you're feeling in some tension with, it might be an opportunity to pick that one and give yourself time to work with that. But choose your own adventure. And in your journal or where you're writing, this is another screen share moment. Let me see if I can share an image in chat for this next one. But go ahead and draw kind of a line, long line, draw a line and label one end give, label the other end of your line take. And because we know that the grammar and the words that we choose are important, maybe those words don't land with you just right. These are like the 2 sides of reciprocity, right? So if it feels better for you, other words for give are provide or offer. What's on that side of reciprocity? Giving, offering. And the other side, take. You might choose receive, accept. So draw your line and label the ends for these two sides of reciprocity that we move between when we're in relationship: giving, taking, providing, offering, receiving. Now that you've got your line and it's labeled and you're sitting with curiosity about a relationship that's active in your life, write down for yourself on the give side a few words that describe how you give to this relationship. What do you give to it? What do you give to them, to this person that you're thinking about? And on the other side, what do you receive from the relationship, from this person? What are you taking? What are you accepting? What do they give to you? It's always hard to make any quantifiable judgment of something so qualitative as relational reciprocity. But now that you've got your line and you've thought into kind of what's on either end there of, this is kind of like a little basic map of reciprocity in this relationship you're thinking about. And so make a mark, draw like a circle or an X or something, kind of imagining this as a spectrum. Are you giving more than you're taking in this relationship? Or are you taking more than you're giving? And mark on your line what feels right to you in terms of where that reciprocity lies. So I'm sharing the chat here, since my screen share is not working. just like the little template that maybe you've made something just similar to this line. You have a mark on yours, kind of where you're feeling the reciprocity centered on the spectrum. And there's something about bringing relationship into reciprocity, like towards the center, right? And so notice for yourself which way you need to move that gravity. To move it to the right, maybe we need to ask for something in this relationship. To move it to the left, maybe we need to offer something. Maybe you decided that this is a relationship of reciprocity and you ended up kind of in the middle and you're feeling, we're giving and taking, we're giving and taking. Then I want you to ask yourself, is this a dynamic reciprocity? Is it in motion? Or is it kind of stagnant reciprocity? Because this could be reciprocity that is just kind of sitting and there's not really give and take, but it feels even. So just think about that. And we will go then into a breakout room to unpack this a little bit. We'll be in pairs. Each person will have 10 minutes. And I want to invite you to take 7 of those minutes to kind of share and really talk about the prompt, and then give your partner 3 minutes to share back to you what you've heard. So listeners, take those 3 minutes just to reflect back what was spoken and see, notice what is being shared and give some reflection back to your partner. And the question here is, do you believe there's a high level of reciprocity in your relationship? If so, is it dynamic or stagnant? If not, which direction do you need to move in? And even what action can you take to start moving? So we will go then into some breakouts to do this next. Some things. All right. I'll have to move something around here. Okay, I will open them.
I'll be in Brooklyn in a couple of months.
What's that?
I'll be in Brooklyn in a couple of months.
Oh, sick. Let me know.
Welcome back. Good. Making connections. That's what we like. The next question, we're in the last 15 minutes here. Want to give some space for kind of a meta reflection of that practice. So I just kind of, walked you through what I hoped was kind of an exploration of what reciprocity means in different ways. And then we mapped out some relationships in our lives and tried to identify where reciprocity is in that relational space with different people. And then, of course, we went into some breakouts to talk about it. So my question to you is kind of what happened? Did it work? Did we find out something about how to deepen our relationships by considering relational reciprocity? Did it fall flat? Whatever happened is fine. This is an experiment and a practice. So if you'd like to, let's come off mute and just share a little bit about what came up today.
This is very much a reflection and not a meta reflection. But Caleb and I discovered that it is both of our moms' birthdays today, which I think is fucking hilarious.
The moms are present. Okay, I love that. Happy birthday, moms.
And
And then
Sarah and I both talked about our sisters. Oh, yeah.
and our nephews as well. So
And nephews, yeah.
synchronicity.
I got something I didn't expect while I was talking about my relationship challenge, and it was mostly what came up is curiosity that I can offer, like offering curiosity as a giving thing is its own fulfillment. Like if I'm curious, I'm also receiving something at the same time. So it's like it's built in giving and receiving. We're staying curious in relationship, especially when there's a challenge. Like instead of having a judgment and saying like, oh, this is what I feel about you, you did this, or like I didn't like this. This is like the curiosity makes it into if I can hold the open curiosity, it makes it into its own giving and receiving at the same time. And that's something that can be in my, I don't need the other person to do something for me to be curious.
Thank you.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Hearing thinking sounds from someone. This is a thought that wants to break through.
I could go. I didn't realize I was unmuted as I was chomping on my cucumber here, and I think I'll just continue with my reflection as well. So it did work for me. I think I found it quite rewarding thinking of my relationship, because I just realized that when I sort of brought it into a clear focus, it suddenly became quite evident to me that there were a lot of possibilities and a lot of things that could be done to move the giving or the receiving, and uh, uh, there would be value in that. And if I hadn't engaged in the exercise, I would have perhaps just left it to a slow, organic evolution of what life made happen. And I think in my conversation with Uta, what I appreciated was how does one really make sense of different styles and different modalities of giving and receiving? Because, I mean, if you're trying to think of equal or equivalence, and then there's a difference in kind, that makes it very, very interesting. So I'm still sitting with that. And I think for both of those reasons, the exercise was super rewarding. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Yeah, there's something, I just want to double click, highlight this part you said around like letting things happen organically or like naturally or like kind of passively. And one thing that I always find really helpful about these practices we can do together is like it can kind of really help us go leaps and bounds ahead of what might just happen. So on my end, I got this very great reflection from Didzis, and I now am feeling an opportunity to give to this relationship I was thinking about in a way that like I've been receiving a certain thing from this person, and I haven't given back in the same way. I've given back in other ways that feel more natural to me. But I realize that in this relationship, I have an opportunity to like stretch myself in this way that I want to grow by giving to this person the way that they've been giving to me. And so that's what I'm sitting with, and I feel an opportunity around to do. And I'm not sure I would have thought of that on my own. So back to y'all. I thought maybe Sarah was gonna share. Is this true? I call you in?
That was true. Yes. Yeah, I found it really touching. It helped me connect with a relationship that's kind of in motion at the moment, and really get a deeper understanding of yeah, what's happening in that dynamic in terms of reciprocity, and realize that there feels like a equality in the relationship, but noticing maybe there's a chance to kind of drop to a deeper level of connection and a deeper level of like support and love and care, and that feels really meaningful.
Heck yeah. That's the good stuff. Thank you. Awesome. Does anyone else want to share? Would it feel joyful for you?
Yeah, working with Sarah, I also came to some realizations around some stickiness that I had with my sisters, the relationship I have with my sister, which I feel is pretty healthy, except for one or two small things that we worked out. And she suggested doing some parts work, and that felt right. And I realized, oh yeah, there's this other thing that's kind of lurking. And so that was very, very helpful to look at that, because I hadn't been looking at it. I'd been kind of ignoring it, pushing it away.
Yeah, thank you. I have some highly avoidant patterns, and so I also just find it really helpful to be invited to just write a thing down or like say it out loud to another person, because it's harder to get away from when we do that. And helpful.
Yeah, I found it really powerful to tell the story to somebody and to have them reflect back. That was super powerful, even more than just writing it down. But that was the first step, writing it down.
Thank you.
I wonder if anybody saw a connection between the relationship that you discussed in the second exercise and the relationship with the object in the first exercise. For me, I think there's something about the curiosity that was like there when I was looking at the flowers, and yeah, I think that if I have a feeling of abundance, it's okay. I can afford to be curious instead of, like, I have enough energy to be curious instead of deciding something in advance. But I'm curious if anybody else has that connection.
I have something sort of in that vein, I guess. I chose this tree that's right outside my place, and I was thinking about how it kind of always sees me doing whatever I'm doing, and how I have and how it probably hears a lot of just like things happening, and I kind of I think I like pay more attention to what people are saying than they are expecting often, and that feels sort of like a similarity with like just the being the sort of listener who isn't necessarily super involved, but just like kind of there paying attention.
Thank you. I take one more closing thought if anyone has it before we just do a brief wrap up. Any final reaction or noticing? Does that feel complete? I want to honor the parts of each of you that decided to show up for yourself today, and the relationship or relationships that you worked on. Encourage you to keep sitting with that today or into these next days, and if you found something to do about it, maybe do that thing, or at least, yeah, bring something into practice around what you discovered doing this today. It's my invitation to you. And a few other invitations. We kind of shared this earlier, but here are all the links again to upcoming Microsolidarity Network activities. We have the Vibes online practice program, typo, but practice program. And of course, these in-person gatherings, both in the EU and the USA. So click those links for more information if you like. And the next network call will be, it's always the first Thursday of the month. So it's going to be July 4th in July. And we are always inviting people to go ahead and host, as I've done today, the call. So if you would like to do that, I will also put here what to do about it. The contact, microsolidarity@gmail.com. You can talk to Jocelyn, just let her know that you're interested in hosting a monthly call, and she will support you to do so. You can, of course, join the Discord channel and become a contributor to the Microsolidarity Open Collective, or invite your friends if you found this useful and want to invite someone else into this space. So we'll close it up today and give you 2 minutes to go do that thing that you're supposed to do now that you realized you're supposed to do it.
And can we just take a moment to appreciate your facilitation, Sarah, and
Oh,
bringing
sure. I'll allow it.
energy.
Thank you.
Go, Sarah.
Nice to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Ion, for your flower in your hair.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all. Good to see
Bye.
you.
Bye.